Perfect, thanks so much. First of all, so many great speakers already. It's great to hear all the different aspects of marketing. I certainly have my own lane. I know what that lane is, and I don't know a lot about what you guys are talking about to the point where I could talk on it with any sort of expertise. So it's great to have you guys here, and I look forward to connecting with everyone after. So I shall introduce myself. My name is Dave Hamilton. I am the founder and lead creative of Agency H. Agency H's motto is, or tagline is, content is king. We believe that content is king. It could be queen, it can be whatever you want. It is important, and it is used by all businesses, and most businesses don't have enough of it. Even someone who creates it, I don't have enough of it. So it's how do we create it, and how do we create authentic content, and how do we tell our story while doing that. So I'm going to touch on that, and through this process I'm going to kind of talk about my journey coming to where I am today, and through that process talk about the content that I've talked about, my story, how I've been authentic in some of those processes, and how people have engaged with me. So I've been an entrepreneur since I was about 10 years old. I started a company called Chore Boys, and we would mow lawns for real estate agents that were taking care of properties for people who had already moved out of town. So once we realized there was a little market there, I stole my dad's lawnmower, I destroyed it, and that was, the start of my entrepreneurial career. And to be honest with you, I've worked for a couple of companies, but I've kind of owned my own companies since I've been probably about 20 years old. So I come from Vancouver, moved out here about 5 years ago this summer. I wish I moved sooner, to be honest. I love it here. I love the people here. I love the vibe here. I found Vancouver a very hard place. How do I put it? I've done a lot of traveling in the world, and Vancouver was always a spot where it's like, not all the pictures were up on the wall. Not all the boxes were ever unpacked. I was always looking for home, but I couldn't find home. And then 8 years ago, I was sitting in a house that we now own, and it was Christmas, and the fire was burning, and the snow was falling, and the lake was outside. And I was like, I feel more at home here than I've ever felt anywhere. And then a few years later, I was able to talk my wife into returning to her hometown. And so I'm happy to be here for that. Here we go, it's working, cool. Content is king, Bill Gates talked about this in 1996. I think he knows a thing or two about content and the internet and how people engage with it. So I love the idea, and that's one reason why I gravitated towards the tagline myself. Bill Gates was saying that it was going to be the most, what's the quote here? Let me show you. One second. Content is where I expect most of the money to be made on the internet. So without content, we have nothing. Without content, we don't have stories. Without content, we can't sell products. And content is in a variety of forms, whether it be design, whether it be the written word, whether it be photography, whether it be videography. Content essentially drives the internet, and it drives all of the businesses that everyone here is trying to create. So a lot of the stuff I do, I've been an auto nerd since I was a little kid, and I will touch base on one of the businesses that I started, and it had to do with automotive and my space around the automotive area. We might just keep them down because I'm just going to float through a couple of videos here.
I won't be able to see you.
That's okay, you don't need to look at me. So when I first moved over to Halifax, it was the middle of the pandemic. I was stuck in a garage out in Mount Uniacke, figuring out how do I reach out to people. So one thing I started essentially going through Google and doing like home repairs. Who's making money right now? People are making money, contractors are making money, car companies are selling a bunch of cars. There was a large, not much market for them because there wasn't a lot of cars here, but I was still going through the process and still making the connections and reaching out to as many people as I could. And one of the people that I ended up reaching out to was the people who run the social media and all the marketing for O'Regan's. So they're one of my bigger clients now, and I was just going to play one more little video. Space was a lot of the local car companies were having a hard time engaging with the local market. They're all given these super fancy ads from BMW Canada, from Toyota Canada, from everything else, but they put them up on their social media and you get like 1 like, 2 likes because everyone's seen this stuff already. There's no connection to it. There's no story to it. So taking these cars and shooting them in the environment that people see, and I'm sure a lot of you guys recognize some of the spaces, some of the places there in Halifax. It gives the viewer a connection, more of a connection to the brand. I can see myself driving to work in that. I can see myself owning a car like this. This is where I take my kids. Oh, I have a memory here, right? So telling that story and having that relatability with your local audience is a big thing, and it's worked really, really well for a lot of the companies that we've been working with. Back in Vancouver, where I kind of started my photography career, I kind of specialize in portraits. There's a lot of things that I end up shooting. This is a fashion editorial we did for Vancouver View magazine at the Burks in downtown Vancouver, and this is in their safe. My photography has allowed me to go to some pretty unique places, which is a good bonus because of it all. I do a lot of work with UA Canada. UA Canada is the United Association of Plumbers and Pipe Fitters. And they are all across Canada, and they're a very, very big union. And I ended up working with UA Local 170 in Vancouver, starting probably about 15 years ago. And when I moved to Halifax, I saw UA Local 56, which is the Halifax, the Nova Scotia division. They had a billboard up, and through my connection with Local 170, I picked up the phone and I was like, yo, Al, hook me up with your buddy out here. And within 10 minutes, I had a meeting with the local union here, and I was working with them and creating content for them. One of my clients is the Vancouver Canucks. When I was in Vancouver, I used to shoot for the Vancouver Canucks quite a bit. I do a lot of their portraits, and the big portraits you'd see on the side of the buildings where a lot of them were done by me. It was pretty cool to be able to interact with these guys. They would call it a car wash. So the guys would come in, and it would be like they'd have their handler, and they would come in and they would do a photo shoot, and they would be off to the press meeting, and they'd be off to this. But you'd have a little bit of an opportunity to, mingle with the guys. And if you're a fan, which I'm often on the bus, let's be honest, it was really great to see. So, and then Trevor Linden was walking down the hall of Rogers Arena, and I just stopped him where he was and set up a couple lights and grabbed a good little portrait. And because of that shot, it gave me an opportunity to reach out to Trevor personally. And Trevor owns Fitness 16 Fitness or Fitness 16, and he's got a ton of these things in Western Canada, and then I was hired on to shoot a bunch of promo and content for him. And we all got our local hockey team here through my connections through there, and being able to, when I'm reaching out to all these people, I was attaching imagery that hopefully that they would recognize, putting content in front of the particular clients. When they click on it, on the email, they can see. So I was reaching out to the Mooseheads, and I attached a bunch of photos of the Vancouver Canucks. And through that process of the quick relatability of it, they reached out instantly. We're like, that's super cool. We love what you're doing. Come on in, let's have a meeting. All right. And our local beer. I know we have another beer guy here. So I love shooting products. There's something I love about products. It's a very solitude sort of thing. You know, this is a shot of my apartment. And, you know, this is, I don't know, it's just content that we were hired for with Burnside Brewing to shoot, and we shot a bunch of their different beers, and they'll be putting these out this year. Another one is the Canadian Olympics. So this is Brent Hayden. He silver medal in bronze medal in London for the 100-meter. And through that process, I was called back by the Canadian Olympics again. And I did this shoot as a free shoot. A buddy of mine posted that he was doing some interviews with some Olympians. It was 5 o'clock in the morning. I got out of bed. I dragged my ass there with all my lights and ended up shooting these guys. And this led to a whole bunch of other opportunities. This is our boy Classified. I'm not sure if you guys know Classified, local hip hop artist, just nominated for 8 East Coast Music Awards. I put these slides up because, as I said, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, and it's how you get in front of people, I think, is a huge thing, and how you sort of think outside the box is, you know, how do you get opportunities put in front of you, or how do you go get it? I've really never had anything given to me. Everything I've gotten is because I've straight up gone and asked for it. So I had a friend from out west that actually lives in Glasgow now, and that's how I met Doug, my buddy Aaron. His friend is a music producer, used to be a producer with Luke, AKA Classified. I did a reach out, attached some imagery, said, hey, listen, I want to do a free shoot with you. I'll give you the content, we share the content, we do whatever. And so anyways, instead of doing like the classic hip hop, you know, I'm a G, doo-doo, I was like, why don't we do Classified Dad? So we did a Classified Dad, and we had a whole bunch of other shots of him sitting on the toilet in his girl's bathroom, and toilet paper all over the place, and, you know, and then, you know, through this, so it was reaching out to the local population and the local business people, is attaching photos of the Mooseheads, attaching photos of Classified, and you instantly have this sort of connection with the client, because people know Mooseheads, most people know Classified. It gives you some credibility, especially coming outside of a place where I'm not from here. And I do notice that there's a lot of, in Eastern Canada, people like to work amongst themselves, right? You don't want to come in as a West Coaster, always sounding like an American coming in with a big voice, which I kind of got. This allowed me, gave me some credibility in the market sort of instantly. And one thing I do love about the photography end of things, although honestly I do more video content than anything now, is it's an instant resume. Right? You don't have to watch a video. You don't have to click a link. You don't have to do anything. It's like right there in front of you. And it's like, whoa, okay, you know what you're doing. The conversations get started, right? There's some more Classified. So Classified's been, I've worked with him on shot a bunch of his music videos, and, you know, continue to do content for him on a regular basis. Okay, so I bring this slide up. Coming from Vancouver, I used to shoot for Porsche. Weizak Motors is the largest used Porsche dealer in Western Canada, but they're also the owners of Lamborghini out there. So I was fortunate enough when I first moved to Vancouver was be able to get connected with these guys, and they would literally give me the keys to these cars, and I would drive around, and that was my day job for a while. But business is funny because business leads and contacts connect, and things happen. And this particular shot leads into another job that I currently have right now, and this shot was taken 12 years ago. I was walking down the street in Gastown in Vancouver going to the gym, and I got a cold call off a gentleman named Peter Dupuis. Peter Dupuis is a world record selling real estate agent. They weren't selling the super prime real estate world. Don't worry about the Trump name, but they broke the world record by selling the Trump Towers in Waikiki faster than anyone else has sold that amount of property ever. And he likes Porsches. He likes cars. So he had called me up because he was on the website looking at the cars and all the shots, and he phoned up the owner and asked the owner, who's the guy taking your shots? So I get this call off Peter Dupuis. Peter Dupuis was on a plane ride back from LA and sat down next to a gentleman named Blake Mikowski. Blake Mikowski is the founder of Tom's Shoes. I'm not sure if any of you guys know what Tom's Shoes is. It's kind of the first sort of one-for-one gifting thing. You buy a pair of his shoes, they gift a pair of shoes to someone in a developing country. And due to the fact that Peter was in the real estate world, by the time they landed, they were chatting back and forth. It's like, Peter, do you think that there's a market for this in the housing market? There was. Peter went to, did his thesis at the University of British Columbia on, we are the top of the housing pyramid, what is the lowest of the low? And the lowest of the low are people who live and work off landfills and in developing countries. This particular photo is taken in Africa, in Zambia this year, and we gift homes to people all over the world. Okay? I'm the creative director for this company, and I tell their story, I tell their brand. But it was 10 years ago that Peter founded this, and this year we just celebrated our 10 years of World Housing in Cambodia, where it all started, in November. So I tell this story due to the weird connections of me randomly shooting for this car company, someone seeing that on the website, this person cold calling me, and the guy actually lived in my hometown, like 2 blocks from where I grew up. So it's like this, you just don't know where things are going to take you sometimes, but as long as you're putting the right foot forward and putting your best work forward, it's crazy things can happen. These are just some shots from there. This is it. So we opened up a school for a house for 30 girls, a large home, kitchens, libraries, right next to a learning center. This is the gentleman, and it was for the girls because the girls have a hard time there. It's super unsafe, and education for them is the key. Education is everything. They get education, they get a leg up, they get out, they can help their family. So we had time with him, but all 3 of the people that you saw in the previous photo lived in that house up until a week before we got there. Here's some stuff from the Philippines on the left. That's the Smoky Mountain landfill. This gentleman literally carried that big bag of garbage up the back of a dump truck, up a piece of wood this wide, all the way to the top without missing a beat, and dropped it in. And this is a photo. I just love the photo of this young kid just looking all stoic, But their living conditions are brutal, we make a small bit of change, but these are stories, right? These stories are telling. These stories are, for World Housing, it's to engage interaction, right? It's to, show people what it's like and help raise awareness for the brand. Okay, this goes back to one of my first companies. I grew up detailing cars. My first job when I was 20 was detailing cars. Okay, one thing I loved about detailing cars is I got paid, I got paid per job. So my day wasn't a matter of, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, man, I got 2 hours left. My day was like, oh my God, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I got 2 hours left, right? And you just have to prep the car for the next day, but things that you have to learn to do it right, you have to learn to do it fast, and you also learn the work ethic of the harder I work, the more you make. And I started doing this when I was 20, and that work ethic has stuck with me my entire life. And everyone in this room has the opportunity for that same thing. You have your own companies, and I feel blessed to be able to be in a position where it doesn't matter if I show to work if I go to work every day, then I just make the same amount of money. I'm getting my benefits, I'm doing my thing. People find security in that. I think everybody in here is willing to take a risk, and that's why we're all here. And we all have the opportunity for the harder you work, the more you can make. And I think that's it's a gift to have in life, to be able to not be restricted by the constraints of corporate society or whatever it may be. But I just wanted to do something about this resonates with me through my whole life. I love detailing cars. I love seeing a result. And this was my first company, and when I first was trying to do it, you had to go through your name search, and I was like, Pristine Auto Detail, or Sterling Auto Care, and it got denied, I'm like, fuck it, Dave's Wicked Auto Care, and they're like, approved. I'm like, all right, Dave's Wicked Auto Care it is. And within 2 weeks, I was known as Wicked Dave. I like everybody. I could go back to White Rock in Vancouver, where this is taken. People are like, yo, Wicked Dave. You know, unintentional, right? But it's like I followed that sort of intuition. You know, I was trying to stay true to my story, and it worked, and I blew up, and that was a really exciting chapter of my life. And I sold that. I moved down to Cabo San Lucas, opened up a go-kart track called Drink and Drive, and that's the story for another day. So sometimes the keen entrepreneurs, you know, we learn our lessons along the way, don't we? Okay, I just want to. This is start with your story. Okay, so we're all trying to figure out how to create content, what's going to resonate with people. Okay, this photo was taken in Tofino, which is the very west coast of Vancouver Island. It has a very similar vibe to like Lawrencetown here. You drive in, it's like got this like tranquility. It's got this peace. This is a national park over there. I was working drywalling at the time, and it was snowing. That's snow on the ground there, and it was like 3 weeks of rain and just crap, and it was just doldrums and wet Vancouver East Coast, West Coast, you know, weather, which is just suck it out of anybody. So we're driving along, and the clouds broke open, and I was driving along with my buddy Keith, and it was at the end of a long day, and I happened to have my camera with me, and I was like, and it was this is what like we drove by, and I was like, you know, should we stop? And Keith, who rest his soul, passed away just outside in these waters on a fishing boat accident, only a few years after this photo was taken. But because he had the time to like let me get out and run and take these photos, this is right when like Facebook was coming out. This is right when people started engaging on social media, and this photo, there's so much about this photo. I love the shot. Like, you know, guys are running through the snow. They were sitting in the cars, and all of a sudden the sun broke out, and boom, out they go. And I posted this photo on social media, and then all of a sudden I started getting reaction. People were like, well, you can take a photograph. I was like, oh, you know, I kind of mess around here and there. And people were like, no, man, that was pretty good. And I was like, oh, well, okay, I guess I'll keep going. And like this photo is what sort of kicked it off for me, that people started recognizing what I was doing. And in the story with Keith and all of it, and it's like, there's just so much depth to this photo and where it's led to today. This is outside, the photo there in the middle is at the loft in Nanaimo. I opened up a loft photography studio. It was a 113-year-old building at the time, and it was an office. I tore down every wall in the place. I scraped up 8 layers of flooring and asbestos, and God only knows what that'll do to me later in life. But my buddy bought me a subscription for Christmas to Photo Life magazine, and one day I come back and I got all these groceries, and I'm not in the best mood, and you know, I'm wondering what the hell I'm doing with my life, taking photos and all the rest of it. And I get the groceries, and I throw the groceries down in the thing, I throw the magazine down, and as I'm coming up, I see, like, you know, emerging photographers for 2010, right? And I'm like, man, I just gotta be entering this shit. Like, why aren't I entering this stuff? I drop it, I open the thing, the magazine opened up to the picture on the left of one of my pictures in there that I don't even remember submitting into the magazine, right? So it was this moment of, one, you like maybe keep submitting, and two, do I drink so much at night? But it's, you know, sometimes you just get these signs to just keep going, right? And you know, this was one of them, and it was that particular photo, I took that photo one night at a buddy's place, and it was right before Christmas. I was rushing out, and I thought I'd put another memory card in my camera. That was the only photo that I pulled off out of like 400 shots, and I formatted the memory card. So no photos from that night were on that thing except for that one shot. And that one shot got me that, which I thought was pretty damn cool. Okay, so here's content. I was posting on social, if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see I have like 500 plus albums of photos, never mind the actual photos that are in there, and I really don't add to the much, do albums on there anymore. This was the 98th album. I had a friend of mine, Brian, at the time he had 500 friends on Facebook, which was huge, and he wanted me to take photos of his family, and he's obviously got this like cute family and his cute kids, and I ended up posting the photos on social media, and right around the time that I was posting it and where I was and where Facebook was at, it was like all my friends were getting married, all my friends were having kids, and all my friends were starting companies. And this, because of the following that he had and the close link of the people, this thing blew up. Like it blew up to the point where I just had people hitting me up everywhere. Like, well, you shoot my wedding. I want you to shoot my wedding. I can start in a new company. Can you do my headshots? And that was what I had nothing, right? And this came out of nowhere, but this was like 98 albums later that I was just consistently doing the content and just consistently putting stuff out and honing my craft and doing everything out, that I got these shots. And these shots, you know, led to me standing right here. This is one of my favorite photos because I've always had this shot of this like cartoon-like character, you know, breaking from chains or doing like, you know, this sort of like animated, you know, like superhero. I was gonna go shoot a buddy's wife. We were going down to the local lake, and this guy showed up. My buddy of mine was gonna film the behind the scenes stuff, and his friend showed up from down in the States, and he was like an international bodybuilder. He's like, you guys mind if I come hang out with you guys? I'm like, damn, you're buff, you know? And he's like, and I was like, oh, would you mind me shooting you? He's like, well, I brought this army vest and everything like that. And I was like, all right. So I used to do a bunch of behind the scenes videos, right? And this is another thing where it was I had a lot of kickback from photographers telling me, you know, stop giving away the secrets, right? Stop giving away the secret sauce, because it's like, how do you light? What are your camera settings? What are you doing? People are like, this is how we make our money. We don't share these secrets. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. I disagree. I want this. I want to share it. I want to engage, and I want to show people what I'm doing. And the act of that sharing and engaging is, you know, I think people really resonate with wanting it. The need for information and from the internet is so vast, and if you have the ability to tell that story, and I don't care if you're selling cupcakes or you're selling your content creation, people want to hear your story. They want to see how you create it. They want to see your struggle. They want to see you fuck up. They want to see you succeed. And I don't have the actual, well, I don't want to play the link because it's like a 6-minute thing. I was searching my name on the internet a while back, and I came across, I forgot that I had a 6-minute video of the behind the scenes of us doing this. And this was from 15 years ago, and I had 36,000 views on this photo that I'd posted, this video I'd posted 15 years ago on behind the scenes photography. And I'm still trying to figure out how to get into this account because the email doesn't exist anymore and the YouTube won't let me have it. But it's, you know, it's a lot of it's so much like nobody wanted me to do it, but the thing that I wanted to do is the thing that actually created this huge thing on the internet for me. That 15 years ago, 36,000 views, and I didn't even engage with one person, and I just kind of like stopped doing it because you know, I didn't feel that there was any sort of, I wasn't getting any response back from it, right? But you know, I share this with you because sometimes it's like, just because people are telling you not to do it, you know, or they don't see your vision of it, it doesn't mean it shouldn't be done, you know? This is the video here, but we'll just, that was funny. What I'm thinking is almost lose the jacket.
Oh yeah, the jacket's got to be done.
Yeah.
How cold is that water?
Not bad, buddy. It's not. Okay, cool. So you're getting wet.
All right. So you want me in the water coming towards this way?
Yeah, we're gonna do a bunch. Like I literally want you down in the water like this, and then you're coming up like just like fucking shit's flying everywhere.
Oh shit.
Okay? Yeah. So we're gonna do a bunch of shots here. So. It'll be worth it, buddy, trust me. I want kind of Navy SEAL-ish action going on.
Get up?
Yeah, where'd you get it?
It's actually from Iraq.
Yeah?
One of the guys I shoot.
Cool.
Dude, that looks so weird. You want to scream?
Yeah, give me a fucking.
Yeah. Ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Awesome. Okay. When you do it, kind of hold that knife out of the water, but try not to splash in this area. Yeah. Ready?
Wanna
I
talk
don't
to
want
you?
to join your pyramid scam, so fuck right off.
Absolutely. She's like, yeah. She's like,
One, two,
went off.
shitting.
That's awesome.
Okay, just
Can
hold
you
there.
motivational speakers
I'm gonna
back
take a
there?
couple shots.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
2, 3, go.
Now go, go. 1, 2, 3, jump up. Okay, we're gonna do it again. Right there, hold that.
Holy shit.
Wow. That's fucking dope. Look up, lift your head up a bit. Okay, now I'm gonna get you. Yeah.
If you do it once right the first time, you can get the stuff right out of there. Just do it right the first time.
Yeah, put all your energy into it. You want
Okay, now go down and then come out like you're fucking like exploding out of the water.
Okay, I'm gonna count on 3.
Yeah.
Crazy.
it takes a while.
That's amazing.
1, 2, 3. Okay, do me one more.
Does he have a change of flow?
Out everything. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Come out. Oh! Yeah, just do it like more of like you're jumping right out of the water.
Ready?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, go. Oh! Awesome. Okay, you're awesome, buddy. Yeah. Give me that. No, actually.
Wow, buddy, that was wicked.
Okay, give me one. Get him out of the water.
Good,
Come on.
buddy.
Let's do fucking good. Do good.
Yeah.
You'll look at him later and you're like, man, I wish I came out of the water again. Okay, give me one. Ready? Last one.
With the water.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just do it.
Ready? Come on. Get down in there. Let's do it. One more. You got it. I love it. I love it.
This looks so bad.
Quick.
Okay, let's go. Out. Float.
Wow.
Wicked.
Awesome.
Wicked. Awesome.
Right where.
Woo! Good job!
Good job, buddy.
Give me like kind of like little suck.
Your ass is on fire.
Yeah, it's so good.
Look up there.
Good.
Perfect. Just give me a little bit of it. So it's like a little bit of like kind of the side of your mouth. Like, okay, get up then. Get up. Well, yeah. Like, try to tilt your head back. Yeah. Oh, it's fucking wicked. I can't wait to.
No, you're awesome. You're doing great.
Just like that, yeah.
Amazing.
Right at me. Okay,
just
now
like
keep your chin out.
slow, like that.
Mouth open just a bit like that, right there. Stop. Just nice and soft. Hands. And you're just like dragging me in the water.
Your thumbs are wet.
What's that?
Glenn, you know that.
His package.
You did take out his cell phone, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like seaweedy. Wow.
You're hot.
Okay. Okay, that's
Should we dry you off first?
okay.
Ready?
There you go.
Take those phones.
Okay. So Natasha, I want you to get like a verse. I'll be as light as possible.
All right.
Okay.
2, 3.
Okay, follow me. Keep following me. Go, pull, pull.
1, 2, 3, go.
I'm doing the worm here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you ready? I'm gonna go like right in here. Okay, my head's gonna be underwater, so we're gonna give me like 10 seconds.
Don't drown him.
Go.
Very unimpressed.
Okay, authenticity and relatability. I show this is a business park in Bears Lake in Halifax, okay? I used to drive down that road all the time, and I was, as a business owner, and someone I was trying to sell my services to, I drive by and I see these business parks. I'm like, everybody in this place is looking for something. They need a website, they need content, they need a video, they need photography. So I ended up going through, and like all my emails weren't hitting. Nothing was working. It didn't matter if I sent out 500 emails, I wouldn't get any responses. I'm like, I'm going old school. And I printed out a brochure, and I'm like, I'm gonna go knock on doors. I'm going to become the old school salesman like I was when I was 12 years old selling newspaper subscriptions. And I ended up not getting one job from that. But I ended up posting a video of me doing like this dance in the parking lot, talking about me doing it. Like, oh, I'm here, like, going door to door, and I was like super vulnerable with it and talking about how I was like getting pretty concerned about my cash flow and how much money I had. And we're at the end of, COVID was just starting to like be done. And, you know, I was in a new city, and I was talking about all these, I was talking about, you know, me doing it, me going through the struggle. And this is, you know, this 116 weeks ago. And I had like, you know, 96 likes. I don't have a huge like Facebook or Instagram following really, but it's, I had more people hit me up on this, like DMing me and just being like, how did it go? Like, what happened? Did you get any clients? Like, what did you do? I've been thinking about doing the same thing. You know, you know, it's tough. I just don't have, you know, I'm nervous to do it, right? And, you know, it's like, you know, you got to step outside your comfort zone sometimes. And I had more people hitting me up through me posting this piece of content of me spinning in a parking lot of like, you know, looking tired and exhausted in the sun and whatever. It's, but did I get any work from that particular door knocking? No, but I ended up getting 5 to 6 jobs from people being like, you know what, Hamilton, I forgot. You know what, we actually were working on this thing. We just saw what you're doing. Come on in, I want to have a chat with you. And I'm getting more work and more engagement from this authentic piece of content of me just like talking about my struggle and me like kind of stepping outside of my comfort zone. This is our boy, Classified. So one thing Classified I will say he does is this guy can repurpose content like nobody else. Okay, he'll take one video and he'll repurpose it into like 45 different pieces of content. He'll remix it, he'll recut it, he'll do 5 seconds, 10 seconds, remix a reel, do this, do a photo, grab photos, do stills, do thank yous to everyone who was part of the video shoot. You know, he's become a friend through all of this, right? So content is king. That's my logo, right? So just creating more content, right? I just got some stuff printed, and I went down to his place, and I was like, do you mind if I give you some free swag, buddy? And he's like, yeah, let's do some shoots, right? So we ended up doing the shoot, and then through that process, let's see if this works now. I created just a 1 minute little piece, right?
It's the fact I actually loved it is why it still means something, man. I needed this. I needed this.
I like it all. You know, casual shit, right? That's all it is. Without the jacket. Look, the light lands on the white really nice.
Content is king.
What is content?
Content is king. Remember it.
Right, so you know he shares it to his social channels. He's got a huge following. It's just another way to create content. And I know I'm running out of time here. It's also thinking outside the box. It's like, how can I get my brand in front of people? How can I resonate with people? And me being able to reach out to him, and then using those channels, was a great way for me to break into an area that I knew nobody in the middle of end of a pandemic, right? So yeah, so he's nominated for 8 EMAs, and that's my photo there, and I was part of every video that he did. So it's kind of a cool moment. And as we talk about authenticity, and we talk about telling your story, this overinflated Lamborghinis, Bugattis, horses, things in Bali. I think we were all sort of like influencers were doing their thing, and everyone was like, that's really pretty, and that's really great. You look great. You're pretty. You talk well. You have a nice car. I think that time is sort of. I think there's a place for it in a certain, depending on the brand and who you're trying to align with. But I think these stories and being authentic, and talking about whether you're talking about, you put the camera up in front of you, and you talk to the camera about, okay, I'm going to start a business. This is what I'm going to do, and today I'm going to figure out how to buy a website, right? And you just start creating content right away. You don't need a fancy camera. You don't need anything. You need you. You need your personality. And there's another person out there that is trying to figure out how to do the same thing, and they're going to engage, and they're going to engage with you a lot better than you showing how, you know, what nice wheels you got on your Lambo or well, your trip to Bali or whatever. So I think, you know, one of the things, if we take anything from today, is I think authenticity and what your actual story is. That's individual to you, because you are you and no one can be you. And, you know, step outside your comfort zone, be a little bit nervous, and, you know, try posting some things and try engaging people, because I think people will really resonate with it more than I think you'll realize. Here's me with the old fam dam there, not my fam. And there's the boy. And once again, here's an opportunity. I'm in meeting with Doug, and I had some camera gear with me and a quick light, and you know what? I created this. Doug's posted this up. It was like your profile picture on LinkedIn. It's just thinking outside the box. It's just trying to get in front of people and, you know, creating conversation and, you know, showing people what you can do. So, and pimping yourself out. If you want to scan my QR code from my Instagram account, do it. So you go. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed my ramble, because that's certainly what it was. Any questions? All right. All right, thank you guys.
I'll give you one.
Sure.
What's your favorite type of content to shoot?
Sorry.
My favorite content to shoot? It's a good question. The favorite content I like putting out is behind the scenes stuff. I do love that, right? Because I think it allows people to see what you're doing, and you can, you know, I get outside of my comfort zone and I talk to the camera. You know, I find that resonates with people the most, and then you can, because of what I'm doing, you can show what it looked like and then what it looks like after. You know, I enjoy that. You know, yeah, that would be my answer to that one. Yeah.
Don't worry. So, I mean, this is great. Like, just the work that you guys are doing, the work that you guys are doing in Zambia, it's great. Have a chat about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just in Nigeria just a year ago. We're converting our short-term investment to like using this power.
Oh, great. Yeah. Africa's an unbelievable country, man. Oh,
That you guys
yeah.
are actually doing. One of the things that I'm really curious about is when you have lots of content that you've actually just moved and you've used over a very long period of time. When you have, hello?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. When you have content that you've put together on your phone, like I was filming my life, just a whole 1 year of content, and I was just like, I didn't even, like you have ones where the cameras are just shaking, and you always feel like when you go back to them, you're like, are they really like social media worthy, something like that? Like, how do you come out of that and say, I'm just gonna find a way to use this and, you know, not think too much about, you know, the color, the light, and the gradient.
Oh, for sure. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, right? And I do it myself, and I try to break that. You know, I know you guys have heard of Gary Vaynerchuk. You know, Gary Vaynerchuk's a, you know, fairly influencer. You know, he was doing, I won't even get into his whole story because I talked too long. But his whole thing is just content. Get it out there. And if you're walking down the thing and the music isn't perfect, or the light isn't perfect, or whatever, it's like you're looking at that, you know. And saying that your hesitation on that stopping you from posting something that someone else can get a piece of like valuable information from, right? And it's on to the next, right? It's like, you know, it's like, I think there's a balance between like, you know, posting 1,000 times a day, but, you know, continually posting, right? And I struggle with it too, because I get too busy with life and you know, building a business and stuff like that, you know, it's, you know, then you're scrubbing through, it's like, well, that's good, and, you know, I stuttered here, right? But I think it's like, unless you're trying to like do something that's a branded thing for your company, I think getting the content out there, and if you're telling it's the message more than it is the visual. People want to hear what you have to say, you know, and just because, you know, the camera's shaking, I don't think that's you know, I think that stops a lot of people from doing it, and I don't think they should be. You know, it's like, it depends what you want to do. Do you want to take that piece of content and make it like say a post on your social media where it lives forever? Or do you want to share it to your stories and, you know, put it in your highlight reel so people can go back and look at it, right? It's, you know, I think there's a balance there, right? Yeah. You know, and I think there's even a lot of YouTubers out there that are stepping away from this sort of polished look, you know, where they're driving in the car and they're like sweaty and they're exhausted and they're at the end of a shoot and they're just holding their camera out driving down the road. right? And people are like engaging with this, you know? And that in the short term, the short format social, I'm not a social media expert by any means, so take what I say with a grain of salt, but you know, I know that storytelling and you know the long form like YouTube stuff is starting to become more of a thing. Like people want to sit down and they want to watch a 10-15 minute thing of the person reviewing a camera or talking about their experience, right? It's you know, the short form thing has its place. I think the long form thing, and even if it's not a polished piece, it also has its place. Yeah.
So I would say that, you know, what I got from this is you would prioritize something like be consistent much more than you be perfect.
I would say that.
That's
Once again, I'm not a social media expert, but it's like, you know, and it's just because you post it doesn't mean everybody's seen it as well. You know, and like I've gone and reposted stuff before because it's just come up on my feed, you know, and people are like, oh, that's awesome. I'm like, oh, that was a year ago. Oh, you didn't see it? It's like, no, not everyone saw it. Not everyone's sitting on their phones judging you. You know, it's you know, it's I think it's a consistency without being you know, too much, right? I think it would be like nobody wants, you know, like a constant sales pitch all the time, right? Gotcha. You know, so it's and then there's so many platforms in which to put it out on, right? Where do you end up? Where do you do it, or do you use a platform that posts all to them at once? It's a lot of work, right? I find a lot. I'm dyslexic, so me writing a sentence is enough of a struggle. Never mind putting it together and getting it out the right way, right? So, yeah, it's
great. Thank you.
It brings up what Ingrid said earlier with the Crosby's post. I don't think, like, it wasn't an astronomical post, but it got a lot of engagement because of her audience.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, the stuff that you've done, maybe less the picture of me, but the other stuff was pretty awesome.
It's a good picture of you.
but I think that's the client you were dealing with. I think everybody has a different client base that they're working with or a different customer, and a lot are product focused, but I find what you showed, the thing that resonated with me on the content was that piece from Africa, that you took a picture because you could almost, there was an emotion in that image. And I think, you know, if we're shooting with our phones, which a lot of us do and shooting content, is there any tips on capturing the emotional aspect of that?
Sure.
I know there's authenticity and being in the moment and all that, but if we're taking a picture, what's two quick tips?
I guess it depends on what kind of emotion you're trying to capture, right? You're trying to capture a happy kid opening a present at Christmas,
right,
or you're trying to get you know, someone on Skid Row who's like down and out, right? There's different types of emotion, and what are you trying to do? It's like, I mean, like Annie Leibovitz, who's a super famous portrait photographer and worked with every brand on the planet. You know, her thing, and people are like, you know, you got to make your client, you got to make your subject comfortable. She's like, I don't make my subject comfortable. I almost make them uncomfortable. Right. So they give that like, oh man, like, you know, or like the weird sort of push away or whatever, and she's like crack, 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 and she gets it, right? So you get that person in their moment, right? And then the emotion, it's like the one shot of Winston Churchill where he's looking at the cameras, this like legendary shot. Well, the photographer, he was smoking a cigar, and the photographer went up and yanked the cigar out of his mouth and took the photo, and he was like, what the fuck, right? And he got it. And like no one did that to Winston Churchill, right? Yeah. So he put him in a position to, you know, he was in an uncomfortable position. Not saying that's what you got to do. But it's like, you know, the long lens or whatever, right? Something you can sort of not be intrusive as well. You know, even like, you know, cameras nowadays, you can punch in, shoot from across the room a little bit, right? Get people in a moment, get people engaging, laughing, right? Like I personally don't like shooting like events and stuff like that because I don't like being up in people's face unless you're paying me to do so or you want me there. But like if you're able to sort of like enter a moment, you know, by punching it into 5 times and just kind of grabbing a couple shots, and then there's that laugh. There's that engagement. There's that touch on the shoulder, right? You know, you know, I think that's, you know, you're trying to find a thing where the person isn't looking like they're posing for the shot, right?
Right. Good.
I'm not sure if that answers your question or not.
First of all, I just want to say congratulations on a very impressive career.
Thank you.
When I think, or when I envision kind of what I want my career to look like, I see a lot of similar things. So I kind of just wanted to ask, for any advice. Just kind of coming into my own career, starting my own career. Like I just bought my first camera.
Okay.
I'm trying to kind of self-teach myself a little
Sure.
bit, but yeah, any advice?
What is your career? What are you going to do?
I want to do what you're doing.
What
I
I'm
would
doing.
love to run
Sure.
my own media company. I'm still a student, so I'm not quite there yet. But in terms of like accomplishments and a lot of the work that you have done, it's a big goal of mine.
Yeah, I think it's like I'm completely self-taught. I never went to school for anything, right? It was me learning from a couple different photographers online through YouTube. It was like that was it, and then trial and like trying to like not so much copy them, but like use their techniques and emulate my own style. And you find something you resonate with. I think I certainly like I know I have a look, right? And that look is what people they either want it or they don't, right? It's like this doesn't suit my wedding dress line. It's like I get it, it doesn't, unless you're like a goth wedding dress line or something, Like I like to I can shoot the other way, but I don't push that stuff, right? So I think it's like you want to be able to push what you're into and what you like, and you're going to refine that skill over time. And it's for example, like the classified thing, and I've done it before where you just end up shooting for free because it's like a creative piece that you want to do, right? And those are the ones that usually those are the ones that are the best because you're not constricted by the client's sort of vision, and you can just kind of go for it. And you can you get you and a couple buddies, and you just go and you buy some dry ice, or you do whatever you want to do, or go hit up the local thrift store and get some clothes and create something, right? And I think doing that, and also how do you engage with your particular subject to get what you want out of them, and then I just promo the shit out of yourself, right? Just be shameless with it a little bit, like I got my business cards, and when I moved to Vancouver, I would take a business card, and like no one's doing business cards anymore, but I'd go and I'd shake people's hands and I'd be like, hey, how's it going, right? And they'd be like, what's this? I'm like, boom, out comes my phone with a photo album in it. I'm like, check it out, and I just step away, and they're like, oh shit, that's pretty good, and they're like, actually, you know what? It's like I've met more people and more clients like, sitting at the pub just like tossing my phone, and don't be afraid of it, don't be embarrassed of it. Find your best work, give it to them, let them critique it. And if they're like, it's just I've done so much of that through my time, and that's like led into you don't know who you're sitting beside, you don't know who you're engaging with, right? You don't know what their connections are, and I think also another big thing is being good with your client. Being a good the union guys, I speak their language. I make them look like they feel in their head, right? When I shoot the video and I shoot the photos, they're like, "Fuck," just like, dude, you just make it look like I feel. Like I feel it looks so cool, but it never looks cool on video. But like you do, and they're like my buddies, right? They're like Dave, So it's like having that having that relationship with the client, right? Because if they like you, they're going to tell everyone about you. So I think a couple of things there, right? It's like create it your style. And shoot what you like, because you're just going to shoot. Like I used to shoot and edit and come home and work and then edit and just 98 albums on Facebook before I even got a glance, because I just wanted to do it. I just went home and I nerded out on it, and I put in those extra 4 hours a day. I'm just naturally going to get better than the person who's stopping at 5 p.m. It's just the way it is. Even if I don't have that much talent, I'm just going to get better, right? Oh, ramble, eh? Holy.
Short question. Okay.
I'll speak as fast as I can.
What's been for creating content? Because we struggle with creating our own content. What's been the best return of style of content? Because I've been told behind the scenes, time lapses, things like that. Mm-hmm. In your experience, what's been the best kind of return on what kind of content you've created?
The people who, the most return on I think the best kind of content is people who have following, people who have some sort of, already have an influence, right? It's something you can sort of piggyback on, and if if you make an agreement, or it's like, hey, listen, I'll shoot you for free, right? It's like, even if like you shoot them for free, but they push it, and all of a sudden, you're starting getting like the most likes I've ever got is anything like, I keep looping back to Classified just because he's like a notable person in the province, but it's, I get, that's when I get the most, tenfold the amount of likes and stuff that I have, because he's, now you can do collaborations and stuff like that. He shares it, boom, it's like, and all of a sudden I'm followers. Then all of a sudden I got a music producer hitting me up and say, hey, listen, I got a music video I need you to do, right? So that seems to be the most, right? So it's like, and just cold calling that person, just be like, I love what you do. Whether that's like, Sarah McLachlan, or whether that's a sports figure or whatever it may be, just be like, here's some of my cool shots. I just want to shoot for you for free, right? You share, I share, cool. It's like, yeah, great, when? You know, I find that's like the best return. You know, don't shoot for free unless it's for a reason, right? You gotta hold your like, you know, your day rate, right? Because we all gotta eat and feed our kids and stuff. So, awesome. Was that fast enough?
Awesome stuff.
All right.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank
Another
you.
hand.